Welcome to Isis in the Bible, the Spring Gathering, week number 5, Nag Hammadi. The question for today is, what is your takeaway on finding old texts? Have you heard of the Nag Hammadi? The Nag Hammadi Library are a collection of ancient Egyptian Coptic texts. Is the reader wise enough to interpret the text and the validity of them? So glad you could join us today. So for what's happening in the sky, the only thing I'm really talk about today, and I got a couple more things to talk about in the past for the sky, is the alignment that's coming up on June the 16th. And this alignment is between Eris, Isis, Mary, Madonna, whatever you want to call her, the pure love one, the pure cycle that comes through that induces us with love, is aligning with Hygeia. And Hygeia is what? Hygeia is the glyph of the medical caduceus. So it's a complete Kundalini cleanse. So again, depending on one's natal, you'll either feel something, nothing, or a cleanse, or absolute invigorating vibration. So it all depends on your natal. So the only reason why I say this is because if you do feel something and it is on this day and it's something you have never felt before, whether good or cleansing wise, you'll understand what it is. So it's important. Not only is this is on my brother Danny's birthday. So I told him, I says, if you're going to start feeling dizzy, and he said he has, he almost wanted to come home because he's doing some side jobs as he's retired. He almost wanted to come home because he got really, really dizzy while he was driving. So I said, well, you don't need to run to the hospital. It's a cleanse if something happens to you on your birthday. Because June 16th, I didn't put it here, but June 16th, we're entering into Gemini. So June 16th is near the cusp of Taurus and Gemini, so that's a circle of the 5th. So the sun is going to be on an absolute energetic 5th. Hygeia and Mary are in the energetic 5th, and the moon is exactly on the harvest line where Spica is. Harvest, right? So there's going to be some beautiful vibrations that our people are going to experience, and a lot of people are experiencing them.
Claudio, can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
So, like 3 weeks ago, you were reading my chart and you said something like, hey man, you should feel like you're levitating. Ever since then, I feel that on a daily basis. Like all of my being is like floating like off of my pineal gland. All the weight is counterbalanced from like the center of my brain, where I feel like my whole body is lightless and floating at times. And it's kind of spooky because sometimes I do feel like I could pass out. Kind of like a trigger to tell me to slow down when I feel like that off balance. Right. My birthday is next Tuesday, so my alignments are definitely spiking, you could say, peaking.
Rightfully so, right? So, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. That lightheadedness is close to sleep. We're in between the sleep and the wake state. That is absolutely invigoratingly charging you in a beautiful way. People got to realize that, because we charge when we sleep. So if we're in between that state, kind of almost like the dream state, it is very recharging, and you get to be in it and understand it. So I just wanted to bring this up. And I'm not doing this for any judgmental reason, but it's good that people are looking to the sky. So everybody was purporting, I got like all kinds of people sending me that there's this great, beautiful alignment that's going to happen in the sky. And if you look over here, the declination means, are they in alignment? So they're not really in alignment in the zodiac, and they're not really in alignment in the sky as far as the latitude, how far up and down it is from the horizon. But the beautiful part is that, and here what you're talking about, Chris, too, is see June the 2nd. See, Hygeia was coming through, and that's why you're feeling it. So Hygeia was aligned Moon and Chiron, and then Mars with Mary on June the 2nd. So people are feeling something. They're trying to attribute it to something. They go and they think they see something, which is cool, which is awesome. But in reality, this is what they're feeling. All right? They're feeling these beautiful alignments. So it's awesome. Again, we're going to feel feelings and we're not really going to understand why. A recent article in academia.org, Brother D.T. Kenworthy, an Egyptian researcher, had a discussion surrounding a very important lunar eclipse. You'll note later on in the presentation that this is around the same time as the discovery of the Nag Hammadi text. So this came to me synchronistically. So here's an example of what people do with these texts. They call them wars. When they talked about this beautiful alignment here, they're talking about an eclipse of the moon back in 331 BC, September 20th. So that is on the fall equinox, harvest time, where Ceres is. So you can see that this eclipse of the moon was at near 0 degree Aries. That's important. It's high energy. And the sun is on where? The harvest line. So they see images, they see texts, and they disregard them. So what they're saying is wars were happening. So this is where the dangerous consensus comes in, when people start reading what these images are and stating what they're not. So there was a supposed battle that occurred on October 1st in 331 BCE between the forces of Alexander the Great of Macedon and Darius III of Persia. This battle was a significant turning point in Alexander's conquest of the Persian Empire. But if you look to the sky at that time, look at these energies. Also around that time, in 332 BC, not much later, Eris is where? On the station of a cross at 0. People leave the visible. When people leave the visible, they want to call them wars. No, it's just a karmic action. They leave the visible because it's in their chart. You can't leave the visible unless it's in your chart. So here's another misinterpretation of text that people call wars. They're not wars. There's people leaving the visible, and man makes good money off of selling stuff that isn't true. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this time frame was the exact same time frame as the Nag Hammadi. And just wanted to show you here, because I've done all the math to show all the different stations of the cross, and you can see 331 BC, Pisces. Eris was at the 0 degree Pisces, which the sun then meets with the mother, right? So it's energetic times for sure. Eris sets the clock. She sets the sorrow cycle of eclipses. All right. And so this is just a call to him, because this guy's pretty cool. He's studying Egyptian walls and the eclipses. He says he's figured out how to predict the eclipses. So I look forward to that. So don't dismiss any sign that anyone gives you. Kathy says to me the other day, hey, there was a coronal mass ejection in 1859 called the Richard Carrington effect. Observed the solar flare from his private observatory in Red Hill, Surrey, England. The Carrington event is considered the most powerful geomagnetic storm on record. Estimated disturbance storm time around 850 nanoteslas, and they're saying it's way more than the KP index of 9 that they talk about right now. So when did this happen? September 1st, 1859. So if we go and take a look there, because he observed the bright white light on the sun's surface. The geometric storms lasted for several hours, about 17.6 hours later. So if we go take a look, what's happening in the sky on that day? Well, look at, you got Hygeia aligned the south node and with Saturn. This is where these symptoms come from. People get cleansed. 17.67 hours later, you got Hygeia rising in the east when it ended. So it was all during the nighttime portion that it was mostly there. So Kathy said this to me. So don't forget, Hygeia, the south node, this came, and then how it ended. And now you got Hygeia with Mother Mary, the one that sets the clock, the one that shows you where the north and the south node are. So it's very synchronistic that she brought this up. So don't miss a sign when you see one. So when Kathy told me that, I knew I had to go look. So not only that, then a duck shows up on the front porch staring at me. I got my camera on, then he turned around and started eating. And at exact time, because this was the exact time because I looked at it, 4:42 is when I took the picture. At that exact time, look where Hygeia is, setting in the west. So the ducks are saying, like the snake and the cat, they're saying, pay attention. We're letting you know something's coming. So there's a cleanse coming for people. And again, it's just for certain people. So if you know of somebody getting a complete Kundalini cleanse, you can let them know it's in their chart. That's what Chiron, the wounded healer, does. You got to let people know that there's everything right with you. Your waters are being vibrated to purity. So that's how they talk to us, all right? They left us a sign. Okay, the Nag Hammadi. The Nag Hammadi Library was discovered by local farmers in 1945. The collection consists of 13 leather-bound codices buried in a sealed jar. These texts were written in Coptic, which evolved from ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. So again, somebody making something into a language, maybe because I don't know why, but they wouldn't keep it that way, but hey, it is what it is. So, and it dates back to the 3rd and 4th centuries CE. That's when that eclipse was. That's when Mother Mary, Isis, Madonna, whatever you call her, was on the cusp of 0° Pisces. So of course we're going to get illuminated. Mama's home. We're going to get that vibration. So the Nag Hammadi are said to contain 50 texts, including gospels, prayers, apocalypses, and philosophical treatises. Importantly, the texts are Gnosticism, a movement that emphasized esoteric knowledge, or gnosis, as the path to spiritual enlightenment. So somehow they have converted them into this word Christianity. But what is meant by Christ is the essence of love, because without love, you cannot achieve gnosis. But what is the term agnosis? Well, agnosis means ignorance of the divine being that you are tethered to pure love. Agnosis means you're a materialist. You're not understanding who you really are, the spirit here in this physical journey. So for those interested in early Christian history, Gnosticism, or true spiritual studies, the Nag Hammadi texts are invaluable resources, but whom we will trust to interpret these texts. And Marian gave us a lead. So here comes in the test of the wise. Do they retain a solid foundation? The oldest known Coptic church, St. Mark's Coptic Orthodox Cathedral in Alexandria, Egypt. It was built in 42 AD before the texts were supposedly created. So if we want to see if we translated these Coptic texts properly with foundational truths, maybe there's some clues there in this church. So I went to go look at this church. Took a look around, all right? Okay, so you already see they bring in the character Jesus. So they removed Horus, but that's the sun, right? The sun is you. This is not meant one literal man. It's meant your journey, right? So you can see that he's holding a cross, right? The book of the cross. And where is he pointing? He's pointing to the sky, just like Leonardo da Vinci did, just like everyone's doing, telling you, look at the angels in the sky, look at these, which are the stars, the angles. So they're showing you that your crystal ball, because you can see he's in a womb, he's in a world, He is in manifest, right? But he's pointing to the crystal ball. In other words, the stars are your crystal ball if you want to understand what's happening with you in your daily life. You don't have to, as long as you're surrounding yourself with love and actions of love. So also in the church, they have no longer Isis and Horus, but they got a female and a male, right? The mother and the son, but you can see they both have halos. This one's on the cross. See the cross behind his head? This one does not have a cross. She is from the heavens. He is from earth, the mother and the son. So they still have some good, solid, foundational gnosis, wisdom, but it's starting to venture away into the patriarchal system, as I'm about to show you. So now here we have the Lamb of God, also with a halo, also with a cross. That means the Lamb is on the cross. So this depicts Aries. Now we're going to get into something really good. In the new part of the cathedral, they made a chair with two lions. And this is where the Pope sits. So you can see how slowly they move from the divine feminine, the matriarchal, the pure love that's written on the Egyptian walls, to a patriarchal system where you're going to bow down to a man. We've done the same thing they've done with Horus or you. We've put a pedestal somewhere where a man gets to sit and put a pope there. I'm not sure if you all are aware, but the Vatican is dismantling right now because the truth is out. The UK bill that they're ending the marriage between the UK and the Vatican because they're corporations and they've been running the countries, aka corporations, and the Vatican as profit mongers. That's all dissembling. If you go through the Vatican, you'll see all the gnosis and the wisdom there, because we, in a beautiful portion of time where we had this gnosis again, we've left these messages on the walls. Because here's where they get that Pope thing from these beautiful images, where you are sitting on your throne of your world, and you got Horus, the all-seeing eye. Remember, Horus is the one that shows up when you have an aha moment at the exact same time, because they can see. So that's why I threw the all-seeing eye on there. That position there is not an idol, is not one man. That's your journey for you to see. He's in stillness, and he's one with Mother Nature, and he can see the revelation of who he really is. And it's not about idols. So that's what's in that church. I asked for what's the most known, oldest Coptic church, to see if they get it right, because we can start looking and trying to find if they have the right messages there. And like I spoke about earlier, so the Gospel of Mary, which is supposed to be part of the Nag Hammadi, and that there's debates whether it is or it isn't. But I asked what's the most debated words. So there's a key. There's Sophia. Sophia translated as wisdom. The debate in Gnostic mythology, Sophia is a central figure representing divine wisdom, and sometimes a fallen aspect of the divine. The interpretation can vary, influencing views on the role of wisdom and the feminine divine in creation and redemption. Nous. Ken Wheeler teaches Nous. He also teaches about Sophia. The word phi is in there. 1 to phi, the golden ratio. You have to have the understanding of how things become manifest. The G and the D are the 6 and the 9, which is the golden ratio of phi, right? Pure perfection. So nous, meaning often translated as mind or intellect. The debate in Gnostic texts, nous is a complex meaning, sometimes referring to a higher divine aspect of the mind, which is truth. The exact nuance can vary, leading to different interpretations regardless of the nature of spiritual knowledge and enlightenment. So if they don't understand these ones, then you can't go forward with interpreting the text. You can't. Anthropos, meaning typically translated as human or man. In Gnostic texts, anthropos can refer to the spiritual or divine human. Right, we're all divine. The interpretation affects how one understands the nature of humanity and its relationship to the divine. Suke, commonly translated as soul. The debate, the term suke can denote different aspects of the soul, such as the life force, or the individual personality. Nope. Because the soul is not in manifest. It's the unmanifest. It's we're tethered to it. It's the pure love. The precise interpretation impacts the understandings of the soul's journey, yes, and its interaction with the spiritual realm. Pleroma, often translated as fullness, in Gnostic thought, pleroma refers to the totality of divine powers and emanations. The interpretation can vary, affecting understandings of the divine realm and the nature of spiritual completeness. The eidos, which Ken Wheeler teaches about a lot, usually translates as form or idea. The term can imply different levels of spiritual reality or perception. The interpretation influences views on the nature of reality and the process of spiritual awakening. And now archons, arc, right? An arc, it's in manifest. Typically translate as rulers or authorities. Debate. In Gnostic texts, archons are often referred to lower states of mind because there's no such thing as a ruler. And there's no such thing as authority. The only authority and ruler you have is love and your own vibrations. So lower states of mind that obstruct spiritual growth. The interpretation impacts the understanding of the cosmic struggle between good and evil. And like somebody said, Earth is hell. But it only feels like hell if you've left vibrations behind that come to find you that were not good. But it's easy to fix them by asking for forgiveness. So just quickly, around that time frame, as I showed before, every 558 years, we go through a mini enlightenment. But when we're on the cusp, like we are now in 2023, we get super enlightenment. We get this revelation. It's a cycle. So 349 was around the same times as the texts were written, the Nag Hammadi, and the same times that we had that war that they talk about, where people are leaving the visible because they can't take the excess energies and their muddy waters can't take it. So they leave the visible, but they come back because we're infinite. So gnosis versus illumination. The beautiful example of this is Plato's cave. If you have the eye to see that you're watching the illumination, right? We're an illumination. We're a manifest of our own vibrations that we leave behind. Gnosis, in Gnostic traditions, Gnosis refers to deep, esoteric knowledge that leads to spiritual awakening and a direct understanding of the divine. It emphasized inner transformation and personal enlightenment. Illumination can be interpreted as external or superficial understandings, focusing on outward appearances or conventional wisdom or conventional knowledge, rather than profound inner insight. Plato's cave is about bondage and watching/observing our physical self and see if it aligns with the spirituality of pure love. And again, at the age of Aquarius shows us, see, Plato's cave shows one in bondage. Well, so does the Egyptian walls, right? This is on the Hathor temple, the Dendera zodiac. You can see the age of Aquarius where we're getting watered. We're getting that pure love flood induction where we're no longer in bondage in our mind, thinking that we're this material being. No, we're in this material state of mind, but we're tethered to pure love. We're spirits having this human experience, and we're infinite. We're absolutely infinite, and now we're coming out of it. So the knowledge, the takeaway is be loving. The message is the same. Don't make waves that are not loving, and forgive. Ask for forgiveness for anything that has come your way that doesn't feel good, because that's the only way to squash that snake, that vibration. So I asked for, give me the top Gnostic and esoteric communities, because there is no real church. There is no real, I tried looking, okay, so who's out there? And I asked again by most attended and most debated. So I came up with Ecclesia Gnostica. It's the most attended, most debated is meted. The Gnostic Society, which I have an example of their writings, most attended is medium and most debated is high. And I haven't looked into any of these yet, but that's why I'm sharing, because, hey, we're all learning together and we can study together if we so choose. The Apostolic Johannite Church, Ecclesia Gnostica Mysteriorium, and the Builders of Aditum Botta. So I haven't, like I said, I haven't researched those, just the Gnostic Society I dove into because I'm doing the test myself. Are they Gnostic? Do they have knowledge? Do they have foundational knowledge that's written on the Egyptian walls? Because it's nice to gather these people together, right? So from the Gnostic Society, which is in near you, Hollywood, California. I mean, not too near, but Hollywood, California. So here's their lecture schedule. I pulled from there. So in February, they was doing the Deific feminine principle from classical antiquity and the Gnostic tradition as the principal source of recognition of the deific feminine archetype. Its name is Sophia, which means wisdom. So look at what they talked about. On February 2nd, they talked about goddess figures in the past and in many cultures. Sophia, goddess in exile. Sophia, spiritual mother of the world. And Sophia and the Blessed Virgin Mary. So these are the talks that they're doing. I think it's worth investigating more because they're talking love. I don't care what religion you're in. As long as you're talking love, it doesn't matter. The rest is all babble and noise. So now I want to share, I won't read these. 81 verses of Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. You may want to look these up. I'll just go to scan through these so people, if they want to read them later, but I'm just going to stop randomly at some of these and read some. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, I observe how all endings become beginnings. I fully trust that others do know what is best for themselves. So when you read through these, and I haven't read them all, but I've gone through some of them, by not claiming greatness, I will achieve greatness. There is no greater loss than losing my connection to Tao. I find the bliss of eternity in my contentment. I am like a great wave of energy that illuminates a room. Everyone will see the light and become affected. Let me just come down more. Someone must risk returning injury with kindness, or hostility will never turn to goodwill. I choose to close out any future conflict with love and kindness. I'll just read the last one. I choose to live by accumulating less, giving more, arguing less, and releasing my attachment to everything in the world of 10,000 things. So when you hear words like this is wisdom, folks. This to me is wisdom. This is beautiful sayings that we can live by, kind of like the 42 spiritual laws of Isis. So this was written over 25 centuries ago. This was interpreted by Wayne Dyer in Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's by Wayne Dyer. So may this ancient wisdom plant a seedling with you that births a renewed experience of life. So I'm not sure a true interpretation of Nag Hammadi exists, but that was before Marion told me to go look at a book, and I got that book, and I'll share it when I do edit this video. But seeing that it has the debated words in there that are spoken by wise men and women, but what would that tell us in which we don't already know? You are infinite, and you meet with your spirit mother on the stations and the cross infinitely. Just keep on loving. And here's a synchronicity with Susan's cat coming home with a snake in its mouth. I had this in here. If I'm addicted to loving cats, does that make me a cat-holic? A Catholic? So I saw that for some reason, and I had to put this out. And once again, with Susan seeing her cat carry a snake in its mouth, well, that's Lilith. Lilith is the cat. Lilith is Sekhmet. Lilith is Medusa that can take the snake away, the snake that vibrates, right? So that's why we have to look for the gifts from love and stay away from temptations. We'll just end with this image here. You can see Mother Mary, right? Isis, Eris, the pure love. It's not a literal being. And you, with Horus, the all-seeing eye, whether you're sleeping between days, between lifetimes, Lilith is at the scene, bringing you great gifts. She can bring you gifts of complete regeneration, but we have to succumb to temptations in a beautiful way. And that's all we have for today.